Today, we're going to be learning how to divide mixed numbers. So, what is a mixed number anyways? Well, a mixed number is a combination of two components, a whole number and a fraction. When these two components are mixed together, we get a mixed number. Whenever we're dividing one mixed number by another mixed number, our process is going to look exactly the same. Whenever we divide one mixed number by another mixed number, the process is always going to look the same. The first step is to convert our mixed numbers into improper fractions. The way that we do this is by taking the whole number component of our mixed number and multiplying it by the denominator of our fraction component. So once we do this, we get 2. The next step is to add the result to our original numerator. And so once we do that, we get 3. Now, all we have to do is place our new numerator on top of our original denominator. And so 1 and 1 over 2 is equal to 3 over 2. Let's go ahead and convert our second mixed number into an improper fraction. So once again, we take the whole number component of our improper fraction and multiply it by our original denominator. And so what we have here is 2 times 3 is going to be equal to 6. And then we add the result to our original numerator to get our new numerator. And so our new numerator is going to be 7 on top of our original denominator, which is 3. And so 2 and 1 over 3 is equal to 7 over 3. So we've converted 1 and 1/2 divided by 2 and 1 over 3 into 3 over 2 divided by 7 over 3. This is our new equation. The second step of our process is to multiply by the reciprocal. So what is the reciprocal? So what does this word mean, reciprocal? Well, the reciprocal of any value is the number that when multiplied by another value, the result is going to be equal to 1. Since the product of 1 over 2 times 2 over 1 is equal to 1, the reciprocal of 1 over 2 is 2 over 1. Let's try a different example. What is the reciprocal of 1 over 3? If we wanted to multiply 1 over 3 with a value so that the product would equal 1, what would that look like? Well, if we multiply 1 over 3 by 3 over 1, that equals 1, because after we multiply 1 times 3 for the numerator and 3 times 1 for the denominator, we get 3 over 3, which is equal to 1. Are you noticing a pattern here? As a rule, you can find the reciprocal of any fraction by flipping the numerator and the denominator. And so when we talk about multiplying the reciprocal, all we're going to do is take this second fraction and flip it so that the numerator and the denominator are swapped. In addition, we're going to change this division sign into a multiplication sign. And so let's see what that looks like for our example. And so if we're working with 3 over 2 divided by 7 over 3, that's the exact same thing as 3 over 2 multiplied by 3 over 7. And look at this, we're left with a problem where we're multiplying two fractions together. And as you know, when we multiply two fractions together, all we need to do is multiply the numerator by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. And so what we get after doing this is 9 over 14. The next step of our process is to convert our improper fraction into a mixed number. Luckily for us, we can skip this step because the fraction that we're currently working with is a proper fraction, meaning that the numerator, the number on top, is smaller than the denominator. Our next step is to simplify any fractions that can be simplified. Luckily for us, 9 over 14 is already in its simplest form. And so the final answer for our original question, what is 1 and 1/2 divided by 2 and 1/3? The answer is 9 over 14. Let's try another example. What is 2 and 2 over 5 divided by 1 and 3 over 4? Well, let's go through all of our steps together. Step number 1 is to convert our mixed numbers into improper fractions. And so we're going to multiply our whole number by our original denominator and then add our original numerator, which will give us the numerator of our improper fraction. And we keep our original denominator. So 2 and 2 over 5 is going to be equal to 12 over 5. Now, how about for our second fraction? Well, we're going to take our whole number and multiply it by a denominator, and then we're going to add our original numerator. And so we're going to get 7. We're going to keep our original denominator over 4. And so we have converted our mixed numbers into improper fractions. Now, our equation looks something like this. These two are the same. Our next step is to multiply by the reciprocal. Remember that word again? And it's the reciprocal of this second fraction here, never the first. So the reciprocal of 7 over 4 is going to be 4 over 7. And instead of dividing by the reciprocal, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So our first fraction stays the same, and our second fraction is going to get flipped. We're going to swap the numerator and the denominator. Okay. Let's carry out this multiplication. And so, what is 12 multiplied by 4? Well, that's going to be 48. And then for our denominators, what is 5 multiplied by 7? That's going to be 35. Our next step is to convert our improper fraction into a mixed number. So how many times can 48 be divided by 35? Well, once. And what is the remainder from this division? 48 over 35 is equal to 1 and 13 over 35. And our last step here is to simplify the fraction component of our mixed number. But since 13 over 35, it's in its simplest form, 1 and 13 over 35 is our final answer. Let's try another example. This time we're going to be working with some larger numbers, and there is going to be some simplification involved. Our question is, what is 3 and 5 over 6 divided by 4 and 7 over 8? Let's go through our steps. Step number 1 is to convert our mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 3 times 6 plus 5 is going to give us the numerator of our improper fraction. And so that's going to be 3 times 6 is equal to 18 plus 5, that's 23. We keep our original denominator, and our second mixed number here, 4 times 8 is 32 plus 7 is 39 over 8. So our two improper fractions are going to be 23 over 6 divided by 39 over 8. Our second step is to multiply by the reciprocal. And so remember that dividing two fractions together is the same as multiplying the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second. And so 23 over 6 times 8 over 39 is the same as 23 over 6 divided by 39 over 8. And so once we go ahead and perform this calculation, we get 184 over 234. Our third step is to convert our improper fraction into a mixed number. We don't have to do this step because remember, an improper fraction is one where the numerator is greater than our denominator, which is not true in our example here. And so our last step is just to simplify. What is a number that both 184 and 234 can be divided by? Well, they can both be divided by 2. Once we divide both our numerator and denominator by 2, we get our final answer, which is 92 over 117. What happens when our question gives us one mixed number and one fraction? Keep in mind that this fraction can be a proper fraction or an improper fraction. It doesn't matter. Our process is going to stay the same. Our first step is to convert our mixed number into an improper fraction. And so when we take 2 and multiply it by 3, and add our original numerator, we get a new numerator over our original denominator. And our second fraction here, it's already in fraction form, it's not a mixed number, and so we don't have to worry about converting anything here. So let's clean this up a bit by rewriting everything out. Our first value is 8 over 3, and we're dividing by 4 over 5. Our second step is to multiply our first fraction by the reciprocal of the second. And so our first fraction is going to remain the same, but we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. And remember that the reciprocal is just swapping our numerator and denominator here. And once we carry out this math, so we're going to multiply our numerators with our numerators and our denominators with our denominators, we get 40 over 12. Our next step is to convert our improper fraction into a mixed number. And so how many times can 40 be divided by 12? Well, 40 can be divided by 12 3 times, and the remainder of that division is going to be 4. And so we keep our remainder as our new numerator, and we keep our denominator the same. And our final step is to simplify. So what number can 4 and 12 both be divided by? And so after we go ahead and simplify by dividing our numerator and denominator by 4, we get 3 and 1 over 3 as our final answer. What happens when a negative number is involved? Let's find out. So in this example, we have negative 1 and 2/3 divided by 2 and 1 over 6. So our process is going to remain exactly the same. Step number 1 is to convert our mixed number into an improper fraction. And so we have negative 1 multiplied by 3 because negative 2 is our numerator. And so after we go ahead and perform the calculations here, we have negative 3 plus negative 2, which is equal to negative 5 over 3. Let's convert our second mixed number into an improper fraction. We take 2 and multiply by 6, and then we add the number 1, and so that is going to give us 13 over our original denominator of 6. Our second step is to multiply our first fraction by the reciprocal of the second. So let's go ahead and do that now. So when we multiply our two fractions together, we multiply our numerators together and our denominators together. And so in this case, we have negative 5 and 6. And so negative 5 times 6 is going to be negative 30 over 3 multiplied by 13, which is 39. Since our numerator is smaller than our denominator, we don't have to convert anything. And our last step here is to simplify our fraction. And so are there any numbers that both 30 and 39 are divisible by? Well, yes, they can both be divided by 3. And so once we carry out that operation, we get negative 10 over 13 as our final answer. What happens when you have one mixed number divided by itself? Let's go through our process together. First step is to convert our mixed number into an improper fraction. And so 2 multiplied by 3 plus our original numerator is going to give us the numerator of our improper fraction over our original denominator. And since we know that 2 and 1/3 is equal to 7 over 3, we know that our second fraction, our second mixed number, is going to be the same. And so rewriting our equation down here, we have 7 over 3 divided by 7 over 3, which is equal to 7 over 3 multiplied by 3 over 7. And so once we multiply our numerators and our denominators by each other, we get 21 over 21, which is equal to 1. And so when we have a mixed fraction divided by itself, it just equals 1. That's it. What starts to happen when 0 starts getting involved? So what is 4 and 1 over 3 divided by 0 over 2? Well, let's go through our steps. First step is to convert our mixed numbers into an improper fraction. 4 times 3 plus 1 is going to give us 13, which is going to be our new numerator on top of our original denominator, which is 3. And our second fraction is just 0 over 2. And so if we rewrite our equation here, we have 13 over 3 divided by 0 over 2. Now our second step is to multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second. And so when we rewrite our equation, we have 13 over 3 multiplied by 2 over 0. Now let's go ahead and carry out this multiplication. 13 times 2 is 26. 3 times 0 is 0. Our next step is to convert our improper fraction into a mixed number. This is a unique case, as any number divided by 0 is undefined. And so the final answer to What is 4 and 1/3 divided by 0 over 2? The answer is 26 over 0, which is the same as undefined. For our last example, let's do 4 and 1 over 3 divided by 2 over 0. This question may look similar because it's exactly the same as the last example, except our fraction is flipped. Our second fraction is flipped. So let's go ahead and convert our mixed number into an improper fraction once more. So 4 times 3 plus 1 is going to give us 13, which is our new numerator over our original denominator. We are going to rewrite our equation, clean things up a bit. Now keep in mind that dividing by a fraction is the same thing by multiplying by its reciprocal. And so we have 13 over 3 multiplied by 0 over 2. We multiply across, so we multiply our numerators together and we multiply our denominators together, and that's going to give us 0 over 6. Because our numerator is smaller than our denominator, there's no need to convert anything since our fraction is proper. And in terms of simplifying, our fraction is already in simplest form. And so our final answer is 0 over 6. All right, guys, that does it for today's video. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe and share with a friend that you think might find this useful. Happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next one.